Hey, what's up, everybody? You are watching a brand new episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks with me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, and my co-host, Rebellious D. I did it right tonight. Did I do it right,
Yes,
D?
you did. You nailed it, brother.
Hey,
Nailed
I'm
it.
sorry about the other night, man. You know, sometimes your boy, he gets really hyped, and
Oh,
we
yeah.
had an incredible guest on our podcast last night, Mr. Danny Kramer, and
right.
that episode comes out next week. So make sure that you listen to our podcast where we release new episodes every Tuesday, and then the video interview will be up that Friday. And also, too, Danny's a friend of, well, I'll say more than a friend. He's a part of the Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks family now. So he's going to be joining us this Friday on our WandaVision episode review. So make sure that you tune in for that, so that way you can meet Mr. Danny Kramer. But before we get into today's review, make sure that you like this video, you subscribe to our channel, get in the comments, talk with us about today's episode, and hit that bell button so that way you are always notified when the Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks crew comes out with a new video. So, D, you ready to get into this review?
Let's rock and roll, brother.
All right, so we are now on episode 3, chapter 3, Despite All My Rage. Now, really good episode. Definitely better than last week's episode. Not saying that last week's episode was a bad episode, but this week's episode was a really good one. Also to our viewers, one of the people in our comment section on last week's review told me that there were only going to be 13 episodes this season. But I believe it was you, D, that looked it up and you saw that it was going to be 16 episodes this season.
I think it was a conversation between me, you, and ZK Audio, aka Trav.
Okay.
That came up, but it is 16 episodes. So
okay, cool. Now, do you feel like that the reason why it's short is because of the pandemic right now, or do you think that they're going the Gotham route where it's just like, hey, we only want to have a certain amount of episodes, we don't need to do 22 episodes to end the season?
Yeah, I think that's probably it. Definitely pandemic. I noticed with a lot of the shooting locations that it's very limited as far as how they did it, and it's admirable how they were very strategic with the placement, where there a lot of scenes it's no more than 3 or 4 people, which is nice. They did a good job with that and handling it.
That's crazy. Like, I never really paid attention to that. We're gonna get to one of the segments like D is talking about where there was only like 2 to 4 people in the scene. Yep. But before we get to that, let's start at the beginning where it opens up with Jefferson. He encounters Tobias. He goes to Tobias's house, and pretty much Tobias is just like, he has Jefferson's family. Jefferson tries to attack him again, but Tobias, because of all of the experiments that he's done to himself, he can absorb Jefferson's lightning now. So it pretty much doesn't hurt him at all. So it's like, how can Jefferson beat somebody who he can't hurt? Even when, he was punching him and whatnot, it's like Tobias was just taking him. And then we find out that because Jefferson can't beat him, he screams in a rage, like he always does for some odd reason that we always see on Black Lightning. Like that roar, the Jefferson roar, as I'll call it. Then we find out that he's at his therapist and just telling her everything that is going on. Now, D, this is something that I wasn't sure of, but does his therapist, because I know him and Lynn, they go to the same therapist, does she know that he is Black Lightning, or is he just talking with her about his issues as if he's not Black Lightning?
It's very, I've noticed that too. I can't tell if he's speaking kind of like in almost like a third person when he's talking to her. I'm not sure if he's disguising it or not. He may just be upfront with the using a blanket technique where he's just using the concept of, oh, this is what's going on, not necessarily, well, I shocked this kid and paralyzed him. What do you think's wrong with me? He's just kind of beating around the bush, it seems, with her.
And I like how the therapist has been in like each episode, and they're pretty much going and venting to her about the issues that they have, because Jefferson, he's still in a dark place after losing Henderson last season. And the next scene, it transitions over to Jen, Anissa, and Lynn. They're watching what comes off as a CNN television show, a show on CNN. they have like their own Tommy Lauren up there, and she's pretty much talking about Lightning and how Lightning is out there, causing property damage, and how people are dying on her watch, and how she's not that good of a superhero. Now, D, what was the nickname that she gave
Lethal
her?
Lightning.
Lethal Lightning. There we go. and real talk, like that's a badass name when you think about it.
It does. I can see it as her if she were to turn onto the bad side. She would be Lethal Lightning instead of just Lightning. I mean, it's cool. It's a cool name.
Double L, you know what I'm saying?
L.
Just like Double A, Arn Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, good way to open up the episode. Again, like I always talk about with this show, the family dynamic where, some of the family, they might be going through something on this side, and the other side of the family is going through something on this side. But at the end of the day, it's like they always come together, and they pretty much talk about Jen being out there on the streets and whatnot, and not being trained. And that's something that you had mentioned last week, D, where it's like Anissa, she had training, whereas Jen, she's still kind of learning on her own because her dad isn't out there in the streets with her. How did you feel about when the Tommy Lauren woman, because I don't remember what her name is, how she had the video footage and she was trying to, paint her as a menace, kind of like J. Jonah Jameson. Like, how did you feel seeing that?
It's interesting. I think it's something like you just mentioned, the biggest one, JJ. We've seen the slander, and all that of heroes, so it's okay to have it. I think it's expected with everything going on in Freeland. So it was, it was running the mill because we've been seeing JJ for about 20 years now, 25 years or so.
Yeah, I'd say
the guy's always been around.
Like 40, 30, probably at 40
he was
years.
on the old Spider-Man show too. What was it? Spider-Man is Amazing Friends?
That was the 60s. So
that's what I'm saying. He's been around for a long time.
He's been around for a while.
Nothing new, brother.
Yeah, so we move on. You have Gambi, who is still with his old flame, because I don't remember what her name is, and she shows him the guns, the DEGs.
Yep.
And pretty much these guns are gonna be going to the police force in Freeland, and they are strong enough to stop a meta, and they are weak enough to
stop a carjacker.
Yeah, to stun a carjacker.
Mm-hmm.
And Gambi, he ends up getting one of these guns and taking it back to his bat cave, his Gambi cave.
The Gambi cave.
And he experiments with the gun, and I'm mad I can't remember the guy's name. Who was the guy that was with him that he can he can read technology, like he can hack and all that stuff? I'm mad I didn't write his name.
I can't remember that kid. I can't remember his name either, because he hasn't been in it in a little bit though.
Yeah, he was in last season. I'm mad I can't remember his name, but he was there with Gambi, and he pretty much complimented Gambi on being a smooth fox and being able to get the weapon out of there without anyone knowing. And Gambi, he experiments with it, and he puts it on the lowest setting, and even on the lowest setting that was said to only be able to stun metahumans, like it pretty much put a hole in the suit of armor, you know what I'm saying? So very interesting to see like what's going to go on, because I do believe as well that Tobias has his hands in that, you know what I'm saying? So and then speaking of Tobias, he's talking with the mayor, and the mayor, he wants to tear down the high school because he feels like there needs to be something else put there, because that high school has been nothing but trouble. All of the bad stuff that has happened at that school since season 1. And the mayor's just like, no, I'm not going to do that. Now, D, let me ask you this. Tobias's assistant, do you think that's Victor's ass? He looks just like him, like Victor's.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about from Batman.
Well, not even just the one from Batman. He looks like.
That's the most recent usage of him. I know he was in the Arkham games. He was in a couple.
No. Remember, he was on Gotham. Like, I think that.
Yes, he was. He was in Gotham too.
That might be the same actor.
That's interesting,
because he looks just like him, man.
Yeah, he does actually. Now that you bring it up,
That's a good call. Look into that. Hey, everybody that's in the comments, let us know. Is that the same actor that was on Gotham that is now? Because Tobias still hasn't said his name, and you got to remember, since the Crisis on Infinite Earths, like all of the universes are combined now. So it's easy for him to have come from Gotham and be in Freeland now, which is also something that Tobias says in this episode when he's talking about taking down Freeland High School, where he says that he tells the mayor, he's just like, if you do this for me, it's like your grandchildren can head over to Metropolis and have a good life, compared to before the universe merger. Like there was no, and before the universe merger, Superman was just a comic. You know what I'm saying? So how crazy is it that in Black Lightning's universe, Superman was a comic, but now that after everything that happened, Superman is a real person. Yeah, because of all of these different universes. We also get a scene with Jeff and Lynn, where Lynn, she's in the bathtub and she's trying to harness Jen's healing ability. And like we talked about last week, where it's like that's one of the issues between Jen and but Lynn and Jeff is, when she told him to stop being Black Lightning, he stopped being Black Lightning, whereas he keeps on saying like, I want you to stop doing this, and she's just like, I'm not going to do it because somebody has to be out there to protect our daughters, and I'm not going back out there unless you put the suit back on. And he doesn't want to be Black Lightning anymore. Black Lightning is dead. It's just interesting, everything that's going on between the both of them. And then we move to a scene where Lynn, she's with the therapist now, and she's talking about her issues with what's going on at home. Now, this is something that's interesting, D. Yep. Because Lynn, she doesn't go by the last name Pierce. Her last name is Stewart. Okay. Yep. And she was when she was talking with her therapist, she mentioned how, growing up in a military household where it's like, she was always trying to please everyone. And, she mentions her brother, John. And I'm just like, hold on. Like, it's her brother. John Stewart. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I know we really don't talk about a lot of Easter eggs on Black Lightning, but I need to do some research, because now we have, is this Victor Zsasz that is with Tobias, and her and John Stewart, are they related? You know what I'm saying? So pretty interesting. So D, question for you. Yes. How do you feel? Because we see that Grace, she awakens from her coma. Like, how did you feel seeing, her finally wake up after being down for a year, and then Anissa's reaction to finally seeing her girlfriend awake?
I thought it was very about time for it to happen. I was ready for her to wake up. She had been in the coma since the start of the season, because of the past events, and I wanted them to move forward, and I'm happy she's awake. I felt like if they kept her in the coma, showing her powers going on and off and whatnot for any longer, it would have kind of drunk on too long for me. What about you?
No, I definitely agree with you. I'm happy that it didn't go on for a long time, especially with the amount of episodes that they did this season. I think that it was cool that she finally woke up, and that's a blessing for Anissa, because that's her love. And and I love the fact that it's like she stayed by her woman's side the entire time, because remember, it was just like the doctor, he wanted to take Anissa out on a date, you know what I'm saying? So and like, just being loyal, man, because that's what we all about here, Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. We stay loyal up here, you know what I'm saying? So I was happy to see that. I'm happy that she's up now, and I hope that she has a speedy recovery. I wanted to touch on where we have Jen, who is trying to figure out how Tommy Lauren Wannabe got the video footage and edited to make it look like that she was a menace to society. And the guy that can do the hacking and whatnot, I can't remember his name. Him and Jen, they talk in school. He ends up using his metahuman abilities to find who the guy is. And then when Jen finds him and encounters him, she sees that he's just a teenager, just like she is. And he offers to help Jen out by uploading the full video to social media land, so that way everybody can see it. and he ends up taking a picture with her as well because Jen saved his life. And it's just crazy how, you know, the media can splice things together to make it look like something is worse than what it was when Lightning, when she was actually there and she saved the day. You know, I thought that was cool. I think it's cool whenever they implement, you know, social media and stuff, because that's the society that we live in, where it's like, and he told Jen, he was just like, you know, social media can make you or break you. Like, we can do this right now and you'll go viral, you know? So there was something else that I wanted to bring up. I know I wanted to get to Jefferson seeing the guy at school, his coworker, the teacher. That's another thing I forgot. That happens at the start of the episode where Lala, he has an underground fighting ring. And this goes back to what you were saying earlier about, because of the pandemic, you know, there's only like, you know, 3 to 4 people in a scene. And instead of having this room filled with people, it's online fighting. And people can sit in the comfort of their own homes, place bets, and bet on the winner. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Like, I actually think that that's an actual good idea, you know, if you were actually running something. And that's how Lala's making money now. We see the guy who Black Lightning or Jefferson, who he paralyzes, and he pretty much just tells Lala, he's just like, no, you know, I didn't mean to tell him anything. You know, I was looking out for your interests. I didn't know that kid was going to get killed. You know, he was just at the wrong place at the wrong time. And of course, Lala kills him. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, you snitch.
Yeah. But I want to say one thing, man. I feel like Lala is like terrible at playing both sides, bro, because the guy was out there doing what he asked him, but it's just, you know, typical bad guy stuff. I'm gonna take you out. You failed me, but it's just something about Lala. I don't care much for the character himself. I just feel like he doesn't really care. You know, it's like, what does this guy care about? Profit, and that's it.
But that's how he's always been ever since the first season.
Of course.
You know, he's pretty much. I mean, he runs the 100. You know, Tobias was the original leader of the 100, and I still think that Tobias, you know, he still has some pull in there, even though him and Lala are enemies. But I mean, I get what you're saying about like not liking him like that. I feel like if you don't like somebody, now are you saying like you don't like the character, or are you saying that
the character?
Okay, like that you don't like him?
Nothing as a character.
Okay, that's what I was meant
against the actor.
No. I get that, but I meant like, did you not like him? Like, like wrestling, for example. Like, I don't like Roddy Piper because he's a bad guy. Like, do you not like him like that because he plays his role well, or do you just not like the character Lala?
I think the development of Lala as a character is very, very shallow. It's like he has no alliance to anybody really, and it's hard to. I mean, you know, sometimes you get characters like that in an anime where it's easy because they're sweet. But Lala's just, I mean, he has I guess it's kind of cool, the tattoo whenever he takes somebody out. You know, he gets the tattoo forced on him by like voodoo, I think that's what calls it.
Some sort of
was it a spell or something? I feel like it's not a meta thing, is it?
It's not a meta thing. Honestly, I can't.
I think it's like black magic or something from like season 1.
Somebody
put something on him.
They put a hex on him or something like that, and like and whenever he kills somebody, it's like their soul gets tattooed onto well, not their soul, but you know what I mean.
The faces of everyone he killed.
I feel like Lala's development in the first season was really well, and then it's like after that it kind of, he was just there, you know what I'm saying? Like he's just another antagonist that's just there. And I'll say that he's more of a, like, he's a major threat, but he's a low level antagonist. You know. But you know, also in this fighting ring, like I said, the teacher who was working at Freeland High, who is homeless now because of everything that's going on, he's fighting in the underground ring so that way that he can get money to, you know, pretty much
his family, because he was homeless.
Because he's homeless, you know, help his family because his kids, they got taken away by child services.
And
so
one of them got killed on the last episode.
Exactly. So one of them got killed. So, you know, he's just trying to do what he can so that way he can help his family.
Exactly.
And when Jefferson finds out what he's been doing, Jefferson ends up going to the fighting arena. And, you know, him and Lala, they exchange some words. It's like the teacher, he's up in there fighting this dude that's as huge as Braun Strowman. And pretty much he's getting his ass whooped. Yep. And Jefferson, he says he'll step in. And remember, like Lala's his henchman, he's just like, why don't we just kill him? And he was just like, because me and Jefferson, we go way back.
Yep.
And it's crazy because Lala has mentioned that before on, I believe it was season 1 or season 2, where somebody had said something. I think he told Jefferson, he said the only reason why I don't hurt you is because we go way back, because he taught him. You know what I'm saying?
He went to the school, which I think that's a very interesting dynamic, because it gets used in like very old movies like The Substitute and things of that nature. Like the kids are in a gang, but they won't hurt the teachers that were kind to them. You know, they don't like go out of their way. I think it's a very nostalgic move for them to do that. Mm-hmm.
So Jefferson, he ends up getting in the cage and he's getting his ass handed to him. He is getting some blows in, but it's like once he goes down for the final count, that's when he goes into his Black Lightning mode. But he has to remember that he can't show people that he's Black Lightning. It goes back to the Dark Knight Rises, where Batman had told the dude, he was just like, hey, you need to wear a mask. And he was just like, nah, I'm good. And he was just like, no, it's not for you, it's for your loved ones. And that's one of the things that like Jefferson, he's been treading on water, because it's like, you know, he wants to use his powers, but it's like if he doesn't care in some situations. Like if there's no, like if it was just only him and that guy in there, he would have used his powers. But you have a room full of people watching. So Jefferson gets up, he whoops the guy's ass, and he gets the prize money. And then he ends up putting the teacher in the house that he grew up in, which was pretty much the safe house in season 3. And he's pretty much just trying to help this guy get back on his feet, so that way that he can get his family back. And you know, it was very interesting, you know, Jefferson doing this. I feel like that the teacher, he was asking Jefferson a lot of questions. He was just like, yeah, man, you know, I never knew that you could fight like that. Like, where'd you learn how to fight? And he was just like, well, you know, I grew up in the mean streets of Freeland, so I had to learn a thing or two. But I honestly feel like something is going to happen where it's like he's just going to reveal that, you know, he's Black Lightning. That's what I kind of feel like is going to happen. Yep. I don't know if you remember or if you even watch Power Rangers in Space, but
correct. Andros, bro.
I remember it was like in the final few episodes where the Power Rangers, they revealed who they were to everybody on Earth, and like people was just like, oh snap, they've been Power Rangers this entire time. I feel like that's something that might happen with Jefferson, or even if like it's not like a huge reveal, it'll kind of be something similar to what happened in Spider-Man 2, where when Spider-Man was holding the train back,
and the people gave him his mask back,
and they was just like, we won't say nothing, you know. And then, you know, we see at the end of the episode, like well, not at the end, but getting towards the end, that Len, she ends up getting some flowers
and an invitation to dinner.
And it's from Jefferson. And you know, and this is something that we've seen on the show before, where it's like they might have their differences or they'll fight and whatnot, but they'll always come together to try and reconcile or something. Len, she ends up going to dinner, and it's like when I was watching it, I was just like, how much you want to bet it's going to be Tobias?
Come on, man. It was so telegraphed.
D, how did you feel? How did you feel?
I kind of saw it coming. I was the only thing is that maybe it was Kingpin sitting at the table or something.
Yeah.
I mean, Tobias reminds me so much of the Kingpin.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the way his swagger, his ability. I mean, even Kingpin tanks things to some degree, you know. Yeah. So it's just interesting.
Yeah, definitely, man. It was definitely crazy, and you know, he had a proposition for Len where he was going to offer her all this money for him to make a cure, for her to make a cure. And it's just like, you just can't trust Tobias on what he says, because we all know what he's trying to do at the end of the day. He's trying to win. And it's interesting because at the end, like, you know, Jefferson, he ends up going home and he sees the stuff and he's just like, oh, I guess Lynn got something for me. And he goes to the restaurant, and as soon as he walks in, he sees Tobias, and he sees Tobias with Lynn, and like that's how the episode ends. And I was just like, whoa, like I can't wait to see next week's episode because I feel like it's about to go down. Like, do you think that Jefferson is gonna be enraged and fight Tobias in that restaurant, or you think that he's just gonna get Lynn and they're just gonna walk up out of there?
I think it's gonna open up with a fight scene, to be honest with you. Jefferson cannot stand that brother. So
yeah, he can't, man.
He can't. I mean, for good reason, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
it's gonna be interesting. Or is he gonna turn the other cheek and just kind of get Lynn out of there into safety? You really don't know.
Yeah, we don't. So
nope.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be very interesting, man, to see what happens next. And then also too, the episode ends on another cliffhanger where Anissa, she wants to marry Grace.
Yep.
Because, you know, Grace came out of the coma and whatnot. You know, she's happy that her woman is back up and can talk and everything. My only thing that I feel like is that something is going to happen. Like, I feel like something is going to, like, I feel like Grace might end up getting killed, man.
I can see that for a couple characters, but I mean, I'm going to keep my predictions for later in the season, I think.
Yeah,
I think it's a waste of Grace as a character if they do that, though.
Yeah,
because she opens up in a coma for like basically 3 episodes.
Yeah,
and then it's like, all right, we're gonna get rid of you. Like, why put her in a coma last season if they're gonna offer? It's just
I mean, bro, look at The Walking Dead, what they did with Glenn.
Hey, everybody saw Glenn coming though, bro.
Yeah, but I mean, for people who read the comics, they knew that he was going to die. But
of course,
remember, they had teased on one of the episodes that he died earlier. And I was just like, well, hold on. I thought, spoiler alert, Negan.
Heavy spoiler alert.
Yeah, I thought Negan killed Glenn. And they played it off that Glenn got trapped and he was going to die. So it'll be interesting. That's just something that I'm thinking is going to happen. You have Jen, who is trying to ditch the Lethal Lightning name, and then you have Gamby, who is still trying to help out the Pierces, and not just the Pierces, but all the metahumans that are in Freeland right now. So great episode. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. How about you, D?
I'll ride with you on the 8 out of 10. It was pretty well done, man. And then you had the cage fighting and stuff. Decent amount of action to it. You got the story. They woke Grace up like I was hoping. So yeah, 8 out of 10.
Okay, cool. Well, hey, that's the end of our review. Thank you, everybody, for watching it. There's the man Tobias on the screen right now. Look at me. But before we go, make sure that you like this video, hop in the comments and talk with us about this week's episode. I just want to say I appreciate everybody that hops in the comments and talks with us about this season, because, you know, this is the final season. So we appreciate you talking with us and giving your theories and whatnot. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you are new and watching this video for the first time, and hit that bell button so that way you're always notified when we have a new video. So D, take it away. Where can they find you at in social media land?
It's going to be rebellious_D23 at Instagram.com.
And you can find me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, at KingBenji_Banks. That's on Twitter and Instagram. And you can find me on Facebook by typing in Benjamin Banks, and I should be the first person that pops up. If not, then I need to contact Mr. Zuckerberg. Make sure that you follow all the Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks social media accounts at Leveling Up Banks. That's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you're feeling generous and would love to make a donation to us, we have a Patreon at Leveling Up Banks. And make sure that you check out our podcast, where we drop new episodes every Tuesday, and the video of that episode is up on YouTube on Friday. With that being said, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week. Make sure that you come back with us on Thursday for the Promised Neverland review, and then Friday for the WandaVision review. We'll see you next time, and make sure you always keep those pinkies up, and make sure you always close doors behind you and you never shut them. Just close them quietly. Peace.
Be sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed this video, and get notified every time we upload a new one by subscribing and ticking the bell icon. You can also listen to the full episode by searching for Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks on your favorite podcast app. If you'd like to help support more great content like this, be sure to check us out on Patreon. We'll have the link posted in the description below. Thanks for listening, and see you on the next episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks.